Hi, welcome to this hopefully quite quick edition of Garden Guns. A little bit different in format. I didn't intend to do a chat on this rifle, but it's been quite interesting in the testing phase. So yeah, I've spent some time with it. I thought it might be interesting for somebody, hopefully it'll be interesting for somebody out there to hear about the differences between this and the original Kral Puncher Jumbo, which I've done a video on, and what I think of this particular rifle. And what is this rifle? Well, this rifle is the Kral Arms Puncher Jumbo Highcap. It's their sort of tactical rifle. As you can see, it's been wrapped in a fake real tree, a sort of unreal real tree style camo finish, and it's very tactical in look with the stock and the pistol grip. You know, it's going to be very much night and day. Some people are going to hate it, other people will love it, and then there'll be people like me that sort of, you know, are not that fussed either way. You know, providing the rifle feels good to shoot and it performs well for the money, you know, I'm fairly easy about this sort of thing. So, major differences between this and the original Puncher Jumbo that I've done the video on. Let's start at the bottle. Bottle on this is 425 cc's, and the Highcap comes with two 425cc bottles as standard, so you can change them in the field given the right tools, you know, the right screw, the right spanner. Kral Arms say it's 220 shots approximately per fill. Due to the issues I had with this video, I did go online and check some other guys' videos out to just see what they thought. And one chap, I think it was called Hawkeye TV, so Hawkeye Airguns. Anyway, shout out to him. He reckoned he got 140 shots per, you know, stable shots per fill, and then it sort of gently started dropping off down to that 200 shot mark. So 140 stable shots per fill over 2 bottles, 280 shots. I think that's, you know, that's a lot of shots in my opinion. I certainly wouldn't get through that many in a session down the club. Anyway, from the bottle we go into the barrel and the shroud. The shroud is unmoderated. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Skinny old little barrel in there. There's a thread protector that screws onto a 1/2 inch. Effectively, it's a bung that screws onto the barrel's 1/2 inch UNF finish. I would suggest mounting a silencer or a moderator to this rifle if you intend on shooting it in your garden, especially if you're in a built-up area, or if you're doing any form of pest control. It is a fairly loud rifle, which you'll probably you'll see later, unmoderated. Okay, into the breech area. We've got standard Kral pressure gauge. Biggest bugbear on this rifle for me is this pressure gauge. It says on here to fill to 200 bar. The green arc on the pressure gauge goes up to 250. Now, you know, I might be nitpicking here, but that does bug me. You know, if it says 200 bar there, the green arc should go up to 200 bar. But anyway, probably just nitpicking. Certainly wouldn't bother some people, I'm sure. Anyway, from there we go into the Kral power adjuster. Once again, a sort of fairly standard thing for the Kral rifles. It's not a linear power adjustment. If you are going to use it, especially if you're going to use it for pest control, I'd suggest running it over a chronograph to see exactly what variance you get and what is the top and what is the bottom power setting. From there we go into the breech. Breech mounts the standard Kral style magazine. I've gone through the magazine in other videos, so please have a look back if you want to see how this operates. I'm trying to make this video short, so we won't go into it. This is the 14-shot magazine in 177. Side lever. On the top we've got the Kral, the standard combined pick rail and dovetail rail. You know, something that I really love about Kral rifles is the fact that they do have this integrated Picatinny and dovetail rail, which means you don't have to go and spend more money on scope mounts. You know, you should have a set of mounts that will fit this setup. From the breech, the receiver and breech area, we move into the stock. The stock is adjustable, which for length of pull, and it's got an adjustable cheek piece. which I found very useful. It is plastic, it is cheap, has got a bit of a rattle to it, pardon me, itchy nose. I ended up putting my Hawk Air Max on the top, which hasn't got the longest tube, so I was a bit limited with my scope adjustment on here. But because of the adjustability of the stock, fore and aft, and with the adjustable cheek piece, I had no problem getting a comfortable shooting position and getting into a really good, an area with good eye relief for the scope. It was an absolute boon, and yeah, something that I found worked really, really well. On to the next thing that might cause a few issues. Certainly not a problem for me. I can only go on what I've been told and the information I've received from the importers, the distributors, and from the shops that sell it. It has got a collapsible stock. And that collapsible stock does allow you to fire the rifle. I mean, I don't know if you heard the birds fly off there. This is loud. But I mean, if you're going to use common sense, this is not a concealable package. This is a behemoth of a rifle, even with the stock folded. You're not going to hide this. It's heavy. This is not a light rifle. It's certainly not something you can put inside a coat or carry into a bar or anything like that. It is going to print. It's going to show up. So I understand that it's absolutely no problems. It's up to you guys to basically decide among yourselves whether it's an issue for you. Certainly not for me. I certainly wouldn't worry about the legality of it. But that's me. Up to you. Anyway, coming through the rest of the rifle, we go into a nice rubberized pistol grip. Really, really comfortable. It is, it's good to feel. The texturing's great, and then that goes into a nice trigger shoe that is also adjustable, and into the Kral 2-stage trigger, which I've not messed around with. It is set. It's set perfectly for me for what I want to do for the testing. Maybe if I was just using this rifle for club work, if shooting down at the club or for target work, I might want it slightly lighter, but especially for out in the field, yeah, it's perfect. Then you've got the standard sort of fill port on the side. I don't know if you can see that, and it is a proprietary filler, which is a bit annoying, but it is what it is. On the bottom, you've got a little pick rail, a Picatinny rail that you can use for a tripod or for putting a torch on there, and then I think that's about it. All in all, I found this rifle really well balanced. It goes into the shoulder nicely. That adjustable cheek pad gives me a really good position for the eye box to shoot in. Yeah, really not, the overall ergonomics I found really, really nice. So what were the issues I had with this? Well, this is the third scope I've put on this rifle. The first two scopes, I couldn't get enough turret elevation on them to be able to start the zeroing. I mean, and they were decent scopes. It was a Element, Helix, and my Optizan EVX, and they're not shabby scopes by any shape of the imagination. So I wondered if there was a problem with the crown in the barrel, so I decided to take the shroud off, which isn't something I normally do. As you know, they're not my rifles, so I try not to mess with them too much. So I took the shroud off the barrel and had a look, and I could see that the barrel was slightly kilted off somewhat. So I took the shroud off, checked the crown, no issues with the crown, cleaned the barrel through, and then basically remounted the shroud and made sure that it wasn't cross-threaded, which I think is what had happened originally. I think probably the original owner had slightly cross-threaded the shroud somewhat. So once I got that going and I started to be able to get a decent zero, the next thing I ran into is it would not group with my two normal pellets. And the pellets I normally use are the Air Arms Diablo Fields and the JSB Exact Diablos. Yeah, it was getting a couple of shots together, and then flyers left, right, and centre. So I tried these QISs, and all of a sudden, you know, I started to get more regular and tighter groups, although, you know, the odd flyer. So I went in and I went into my last tin of exact heavy Diablos, and you know, these are reasonably heavyweight pellets. These are 10.34 grains, and these particular ones were 451s on the head size, and all of a sudden this rifle came alive. So I did do quite a bit of shooting with it, trying to get it dialed in, but just to show you guys, because I knew I was going to try and do this video by that time, I shot a card with the JSB exact Diablos, the QISs, and the heavy Diablos as well. Let me show you the difference. Right, so here we go. That centre grouping right there, that is shot with the JSB exact Diablos. Diablo exacts? Exact Diablos, there we go. Had to quick look at the tin. As you can see, yeah, not grouping. You know, a few sort of getting there, but then you flyers all over the place. So then this is the QIS pellets. You know, they're a slightly heavier weight pellet, 9.59 I think they are on the grams. I'll have a check. As you can see, I'm still, you know, it's an okay grouping, but you're still getting the odd flyer on that one. And this is the QISs again, once again, you know, odd flyer, but the body of the grouping wasn't too bad. So by this time I'm starting to get a little bit of hope, and thought, I tell you what, I'll just do the Diablos, the heavy Diablos. So turn the card over because I knew that we were going to get drop. That's the first group I shot. That one I think was me. That was a flyer. Yeah, I think I pulled that. And then the second group I shot for this card was that one. And I don't know if you can tell, but you know, that is inside my little fingernail. You know, this card was shot at 35 yards. And I shot this card, you know, basically to show, you know, I knew the issues. I'd already shot other cards with the different pellets. And I just wanted to get I wanted to show the difference in the pellets, and then I just wanted to put a really good grouping on paper with the heavies, because I'd shot groups like that, you know, it must have shot 5 or 6 really tight groups with this rifle. Yeah, I mean, that's each one of these groups is 10 shots, so that's 10 shots inside a 5p piece at 35 yards with these heavies. And it was important to make sure that I could replicate that so that I could show you exactly how good this specific rifle is. You know, I think these retail for just over 600 quid. You know, I don't know what this will be going out second hand, but you know, for the money, 5p piece groups at 35 yards, absolutely spot on. And then comes the next thing. I chronographed this rifle with the heavies, and this particular rifle is, you know, it's just on the legal limit. So I was averaging 11.8 foot-pounds, 720 feet per second with these 10.34 grain pellets. Now, with that sort of energy, that weight, and that sort of group at 35 yards, pushing out to 40, 45 yards for the purposes of pest control with this rifle using those pellets is not something I would have a problem doing. Obviously wind dependent, you know, if it's blowing a hoolie, you know, maybe not a great idea, but on a relatively still day, you know, this is a tack driver. This particular rifle is, you know, really surprised me. I've pretty much finished off my last tin of the heavies purely for the fact that I've had so much fun. And once I got it dialed in, and once I could see what it could do with these pellets, you know, I have actually blasted through a fair few magazines worth of pellets, just plinking steel, you know, plinking drop down targets in the garden and things. And it's, yeah, I've really enjoyed shooting this rifle. So would I recommend the Highcap to somebody? Well, I'd certainly recommend this one. On the whole, if they all perform like this, then without a shadow of a doubt, absolutely astounding. You know, I'm well impressed for the price. Incredibly impressed with this rifle. I think it's been one of it's only the beginning of the year, but it's certainly, yeah, it's been a massive surprise. I think that I certainly don't remember the original Puncher Jumbo being this good. I mean, it was good. It was quite windy on the day that I shot the groups, but I still don't remember it being this good. You know, this rifle seems to be, I mean, whether it is just this rifle, but this one seems to be a machine. I know the guy that did the Hawkeye guy, he said something very similar. He said that his rifle was sort of, when it was bedding in, was at the 12 foot-pound mark, and then that power sort of gradually dropped off. But the guy that he was shooting with was, you know, also so impressed with that I believe he went out and bought his own one. So I think overall, for the money, these are a pretty damn good buy. So, would I recommend it to somebody? You know, if they've got 600 quid to spend? Yeah. I would, without a shadow of a doubt, say, yeah, you could do a lot worse than buy one of these. Anyway, with that conclusion, I'm hoping that this is going to be relatively short. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to the next video, and until then, stay safe. All the best.